Okay, so that brings us to the last presentation for the day. We have Dinesh Balaji Venkatraman from Capgemini presenting Creating Robust Cloud Vendor Automation Framework. Over to you, Dinesh. Dinesh, you're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks. Yeah, you're able to hear now, Swati?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dinesh. I'm the manager here in Capgemini. I have overall 10 years of experience working across different vendors in US. So one of the problems that we are going to talk about here now is like how can we write a robust framework so that whenever the client or the anyone is changing the vendor, the cloud automation vendor, how can we use the same set of code to any particular vendor that we are gonna use? Like for example, say if you are using the Perfecto or the Sauce Lab or any other vendor, like let's say an example that you are using a Sauce Lab and you want to migrate this from Sauce Lab to Perfecto or Experitest or anything like that. So how can we effectively write a framework or design your framework in such a way that your code can be utilized across multiple vendors? Or even if you want to use it in such a way that you want to test your iOS devices in one particular vendor and the mobile iOS and Android in some other vendor and the web in let's say that in expiry test, how can you write your framework in such a way that you can be independent of the vendor and focus on your code? So the solution enables the testing on the migration of the cloud platform with a minimal code change, and also it gives a lot of flexibility so that you don't have to stick with one particular vendor. So the problem statement is like this particular framework gives you the easy of migration. And let's say that you have 1600 test cases which have been running on one particular vendor. And let's say that in next quarter you want to move to the other vendor. So with the minimal code configuration, all you need to do is like to enable the configuration of the new vendor that you're gonna do, and then have their capabilities added to your property file, and then like you can start executing your test cases on the new vendor. So it actually reduces the cost because you don't have to reinvent the entire wheel again. And you can use this framework for any particular thing. And you can plug and play it anywhere. And it can be used for any particular cloud framework like AWS or Experitest or Sauce Lab or anything like that. So the initial thing is like we are going to use a particular framework, like we are going to design the framework and we will be building the vendor libraries, and we will be identifying the methods for each and every vendor, and then we will be executing the test cases against the each and vendor to test that the particular code has been written well or not. So for selecting the framework, we have used the framework called the QAF here. QAF is an open source MIT specific framework which gives the ready-made configuration for all of the Selenium methods. And here, by having a particular classes for each and every vendor specific thing, let's say that you want to have the start app, and this particular method should be returned to each and every particular vendor. Like let's say that you are using AWS device form or Experitest or Cobiton, or let's say that even in new vendor like pcloudy. So you have to start adding your methods to each and every class that is mentioned here for the vendor utility. And this can be controlled from the test ng and also from the application properties, like where you can actually say when the particular test case is running, which particular framework you need to trigger this test, whether you want to run it to the AWS or Cobiton or the Perfecto Labs or any cloud, or even if you have the cloud on your own, you can have that here. The next thing is like one of the reason why we went to the QA framework is even though it has been developed in the Java, as I mentioned earlier, it has got a lot of good libraries, which predefined libraries, and also it is like easy to use the cloud connections where you just have to give the credentials. You don't have to rewrite the entire method or the connections or any other thing. It has a out of box support for everything. So this is the reason why we have chosen the QA framework. And one of the main benefits of using this thing is like the interoperability, like the multiple platforms and the device combinations can be used, and also the development time is reduced to zero because you are not writing any separate thing for any vendors. All you are focusing on your code and not really bothering about like which particular vendor you're going to execute it. And it also reduces the cost of maintenance because like when you're writing your base framework itself, like you are adding all those utility libraries, and it enables a cost effective because like let's say that if one of the vendor is giving you a competitive price with compared to the other one, you can easily switch over. You don't have to travel with one the vendor that you feel like the cost is much higher than the other one, even they're giving a much more benefit than the one that you're currently using. So, and the next one is the ROI comparison. This is like we used in our project actually. So initially we were using a particular, we have been executing the test cases on a particular vendor, and the changing of the vendor in the older ways, like we completely throw off the code and then we start from the scratch for the each and every vendor. But using this particular framework, now we were able to execute in like the Android in one of the vendors and the iOS and the web in the other one. So this has basically saved our time and the effort, and we were able to actually reuse the 1600 test cases we have actually written by making the modification on the method level and not on any other level. And the conclusion is like, by using this one, the direct payback is anytime we are giving the power to the client to change the vendor, and the indirect payback is like we don't have to spend any time on the code level, and the expenditure also comes down to zero, and there is no reoccurring expenditure, because like all you need to do is like a negotiating with the vendor, or if you want to create your own lab setup in your environment, you can do and use this particular set of code. You don't have to do any other thing apart from this one. So, and this particular QA framework, this is open source and it has been licensed by the MIT, and we have developed on top of it. And the particular code is available in the Git for this one, and we can download it. So that's the thing. And I'm not having any working prototype demo, because this the entire set has been developed with the client system, and I ran out of credits for a couple of the vendors like the Sauce Lab and other things and all. But I will be hosting this particular code in my personal GitHub. Like I will give you an access where you can actually go and plug it and run it on your environment. So that's all. Like any questions? Yes, Swati. I'm done with my presentation.
Yeah, so we have a question. Can you
Yep.
share the GitHub URL for packaged solutions?
Yeah, as of now, I'm not having it, but I will be uploading and I will be sharing you the link. I have the entire set of code in my enterprise Git for the customer, so I cannot get that out as of now. But I will be like recreating the same thing in my local with some couple of examples for the free credits that I'm getting, and I will be uploading it sooner, like maybe in a week or so.
Okay, great. So that was it. Yeah, we don't have any more questions now.
Okay.
All right, then. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Audrey.
Yeah.
Thanks, Con. Yeah.